Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Tom.
And my name is Demi. We're two of the missions counselors here at the University of St. Thomas.
And today we are going to be explaining the college essay, as a lot of people are sort of in that phase of crafting their essay. So today's webinar is going to be nice, short and sweet. You're off camera, your mic's muted, so you can just sit back, relax, and hear some essay tips from two admissions veterans. Okay, so the first thing, the purpose of the essay, we want students to showcase their writing skills, right? That seems pretty common sense, but colleges are going to be analyzing your writing in the classroom a lot, and so this is a nice showcase of showing your writing abilities and showing you that you can carry a thought from start to finish. And this also is a chance to showcase your personality, right? I think that words and writing and prose, it's a good chance for you to kind of just express your personality. And myself and Demi often remember those essays where your personality really shines. And if we ever see you at a future, St. Thomas event, a lot of the times we might remember your essay and say, oh yeah, weren't you the person, you're like a dog breeder? That's so cool. And so we remember those things. And I think that that's really helpful when you're applying for schools. It also establishes your fit for the school, right? You get to write a little bit about how you'd be a good fit for that school. And then throughout that writing, you kind of get to think more about that fit so that it's not just a quick thought. You actually spend a lot of time writing about maybe why you'd do well at that school. It might reveal things that you didn't know about how you'd fit at the school. Last but not least, provides context for application, right? So that you're not just a bunch of, data and, grades on a transcript. It'll show a story, it'll tell us about, it'll give context to the grades that you earned. So that's the purpose of the college essay.
That's perfect. And just like Tom said there at the end, we want to know who you are, right? So I don't want you to be just another name or markings on a paper. I want to know who you are. So the essay should tell us something about you that we can't see in other parts of your application. So for example, let's say you have a 3.0 and 10 other people have a 3.0. No, 3.0 doesn't tell me very much about who you are. That essay is a chance for you to showcase who you are. I think one of the favorite things I've heard, I watched Alice in Wonderland a while ago. It says that the best people are weird, right? So I want to know who you are, right? I want to know the weirdness and what makes you you because no one has your experience. So do you play the violin? Do you write in Spanish? Do you love Spanish? If you've been learning Japanese? I want to know those things, and I want to know how it relates to your development, right? Because simply put, I think the essay makes the application human. And so you're not just another name on a chart. I want to know who you are as a human being. So it's very important to us to be able to read and know.
The big question we get a lot in the office is how important is the college essay? And I wish there was a clear answer. The answer is that it really depends. I think if you're wondering, should I write the essay? I think that's always yes. We think if the essay is optional, you should always say yes. But sometimes the essay is critical depending on where you're at. And sometimes the essay might just be like a nice little bonus to add. And so coming up in the next couple slides, it explains sort of like understanding your context within the school that you're applying to. And this is two things, right? Your grades and your test scores, if the college requires them, right? For us, it's optional. Some schools, it's still required. But when you're applying to universities, you kind of want to understand, am I going to be a student, an applicant who's in the top quarter of the class? At that point, your essays, I mean, if you're not concerned about admission, your essay maybe is a chance to kind of just like we talked about, showcase your personality. The school gets to know you a little bit more, makes the process more fun. But if you're like, feel pretty confident that you'll be admitted to that institution, that essay might not, it shouldn't be like a deal breaker by any means. On the flip side, if you're sort of on the fence of that admissibility range or on the bubble where, it could go either way, right? You could be admitted, you could be denied. That is where the essay is critical, right? That is where colleges will really, really, really want to see a strong essay. And it could take a student who, you might think might not be as admissible. If they have a really powerful essay, that could maybe move the needle. And then maybe if a student's kind of borderline and their essay is a little bit lackluster, that's where maybe things could go the other direction. So look at the data of the colleges you're applying to. Even ask the colleges what they think, right? In terms of the essay, right? Because every college, you're gonna look different academically at every university you apply to, and that'll determine how important that essay is. But you should always do it for sure.
So then you're probably thinking then, so if you look at the next slide here, you're thinking, okay, what should I write about? Okay, because it seems like it could be important, it could be really important or not as important. That seems like a daunting thing. If it's going to be super important, what do I need to write about? Do I need to write about something that could be made into like a Netflix special, or what are you looking for? So the answer is it's pretty simple actually. If I'm going to advance here, just write about you because you know you the best. So writing about something you are passionate about. So it helps fill in the context. So here's an example. I had a student who I was working with. He didn't do so well in math, right? So when I got the transcript, there was a low grade in math. And then I looked towards his, so sophomore year and junior year. Sophomore year, it was pretty low. Junior year, it was a little higher, but it was still low, right? So looking at that on the transcript, all I see is too low math grades. But then he wrote about on his essay exactly why that was the case, about how he had to transition to distance learning and how that was difficult for him. And then he put out and he outlined the steps he took to help him become more successful, talking to the teachers, right? Working over Zoom, trying to figure things out with his parents and just doing more. That gave me more context because then I can go to the admissions, the committee and say, let's take a look at this application more, right? It's more than just these grades. Look at what the student's doing. So that's what I'd want to know about, if I was reading your application. Do you love playing the violin? Let me know that. How has that helped you in your life? Because then I can say, yeah, let's look at this application again. It might not be representative of who this person is as a whole, or maybe it is. Let's figure out more context about that. So that's what you should write about. Write about you and you know the most about yourself. So it works the best.
And the Common App has a broad range of questions. If you're applying through the Common App, you can see there's things about, talents, challenges, problem solving, accomplishments, activities that you're passionate about, or a topic of your choice. Like you really have a lot of room to work with here. And so the next slide is a good quote from our associate director at the Two-Year Doherty Family College, basically saying that if students are writing about something that's exciting to them, it'll be exciting for us to read. And if students write about something they think an admissions counselor wants to read, those essays tend to be less exciting. And this naturally just comes through. Like we've read a lot of essays, and we can really tell when someone's genuinely excited about something versus when they think we want to hear a particular type of thing. And it could be the same two topics, right? It could be two service trips. And you could tell when the one student was jazzed about it and when the one student thinks they probably want me to write about service. Like it really comes through. And so speak to what you're passionate about. And I guarantee that colleges are going to resonate with that. Some students will just think that they need to have a very like stuffy academic sounding voice. And so their essays might start with like, Woodrow Wilson once said, and like if that's not genuinely who you are, like colleges can sense that in your writing. And so definitely start with what you are excited about.
So you're probably thinking, okay, so then how do you choose an essay prompt? So I'm going to go through the next couple of slides, how to choose the essay prompt and how maybe it fits into the different things that admissions offices might be looking to see. So first thing is decide what story you want to tell. So I think you should work backwards. So decide what story you want to tell. So let's say, is it football game that you played that taught you something. Like maybe your coach taught you something. And one thing to keep in mind is no matter what you're writing about, make sure it's about you. So even if it's the time you met the president of the United States, make sure that it's still about you because you're the one who's getting into the school, right? So decide what story you want to tell and then choose the essay prompt. So here's what I mean. So on this next slide, you can see. So so you want to write about, let's say, a time when you won a speech competition at school. Perfect. That shows a lot of different things. So here you can see out of all of these seven, maybe then we go and look, okay, an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked personal growth. That's perfect because then you have the story already, you know what you want to talk about, then you fit it to a prompt. But make sure that you do talk about the prompt because sometimes, maybe you get really excited about the story, but then you don't hit the prompt. Make sure you still, you hit that prompt in the essay in general. So here's an example of another one. So let's say you want to write about an illness that resulted in a dip in your grades in 10th grade. So kind of like that person who I told you about who had a low grade, they wrote about something to explain what's on their application. And one thing that I want to just let you know is if on an application, for example, I see a low grade in something, it's better for me to get an essay based on that rather than the mission trip or something like that, because I want to be able to tell why this happened, right? So figuring out an illness that made the grades dip, then thinking about, okay, when did I face a challenge or setback or failure, and working backwards that way. All right, so let me give you one more example here. So you want to write about photography. So maybe it's just more broad, right? Maybe I don't have a challenge. Maybe I love anime. Maybe I want to write about photography. Perfect. Okay. So then you work backwards. So you describe a background, talent, or interest that you want to share. That's interesting, right? So then you can tell me more about that. How is that going to, how is maybe you liking photography something that um, a talent of yours that you want to share? Maybe you liked it so much that you needed to um, learn something more about photography and you had to do something difficult, right? Color balance and things like that. That shows me that you can take initiative and you're learning and seeking things out for yourself. That helps to see your growth as well. Or maybe you can think of it as an accomplishment, that maybe you won an award or something like that. Or it's a concept or activity that makes you lose track of time. That to me shows that you care about something so much that you just want to get into it, right? Because then, hey, maybe you're going to be coming to school for photography. Maybe you're going to be doing graphic design. I can tell you're going to be successful because you already love to do this, and that's kind of the things that I like to see on an application. So figure out the story and then work backwards from there. Um, one thing you should not do, or you should do, let's see, Tom's gonna take this here.
Yeah, a lot of people ask if they should submit a paper from class, and we'd say it's not recommended unless the paper for class was an assignment to write like a college essay where you basically did take our advice and write something you were passionate about. This is more asking, should I submit like my analysis of mice and men, right? Those are papers that we've read, again, and even if you have the best takeaways and insights into big pieces of literature, it doesn't do much. I don't think it's going to necessarily take a student who would have been admitted to now the sudden we're like, oh, paper from class, you're denied. Like that's not going to be the case. It just doesn't do anything, but it could be really harmful to a student that is sort of on the cusp of admissibility. And then that would be a good way for them to express themselves in more of a personal essay. So not for class. And here's some nice bulleted do's and don'ts.
All right, so do's and don'ts. Definitely the do, like I said, the best people are weird. So show me your personality. I think I read an essay once about somebody who loved anime, and instead of starting a story with like Woodrow Wilson once said, they said Goku once said, and if you know Goku is from like Dragon Ball Z, and immediately I was like, well, this is interesting. Well, I got to read this, and that's their personality. That's something that's interesting, and that caught me right away. Or tell us a story about your life, right? You want to use your resources. So resources meaning is it your teacher, your little sister, your parents, library, the internet, Google. Find things that maybe you can do spell check on, things like that. You want to proofread carefully, right? So what I would do when I was writing my essays was my older sister was an English major. I had her proofread all my papers to make sure all the spelling errors were gone. So things like that, definitely do that. You want to respond to the prompt, right? You don't want to write the whole essay and then forget to actually respond or connect it to the prompt, right? Use your own voice to make sure that we're hearing about you. Like I said, meeting the president's great. They might have done great things, but you're going to do great things, or you have done great things. Let's hear about you as well and write it from your perspective. And so this next one is one of the ones I think is most important, especially if maybe you're on that cusp, on that bubble of, I'm not, my GPA is not where they want it, or my essay or my ACT isn't right where they want it. I think addressing things in your application that might be concerning is perfect and perfect to do, because then it gives us context, it brings some humanity to it, and then I know exactly what happened. And armed with that, I can chat with the admissions committee, and we can look at the application more carefully, right? And connect things that you are talking about to your college readiness. So just like talking about, let's say, your photography, love of photography, connect that to the prompt and connect that to why you are ready to go to college or university, wherever you're going, and how that's going to help you be successful. But just how there's do's, there are also don'ts.
First one's pretty straightforward. Don't plagiarize. I think that's pretty common, commonly known. But yeah, just make sure that your words are your own, and nothing wrong with citing quotes or anything like that. But just don't write off other people's words as your own. So right out of the gate, don't plagiarize. Careless mistakes, just don't make them. Those would be things like really basic typos, formatting, like forgetting to put spaces between words, or forgetting, if you're applying to a specific university, forgetting to switch the name of the university and then sending it to a different school. That's just kind of awkward for everyone involved when you're writing the wrong school's name. So careless mistakes. Demi has given great examples about not focusing on other people, always trying to connect it to yourself in some way, even if you are writing about other people. And then don't wait till the last minute. That's just a good rule for all papers that you'll write. It probably won't end up being your best paper. Have it looked at by a few people and have it go through a few revisions. And then don't use the essay as a chance to just rattle off different accomplishments that you've had. Most applications, especially the Common App, do have an honors and activities section where you can list off resume style all the different things you've done and participated in. So the essay shouldn't be a chance to just kind of go through your life's accomplishments. You want to kind of try to focus in on maybe more of a singular moment and really like dig into that and tell us a story. So those are the don'ts. Last piece of advice.
Yes, I think this is perhaps one of the most important things. It's just relax, right? Relax, be yourself, and have fun, and definitely let us know who you are. Let your personality shine through, because like I said, the essay gives that human touch to things. And if you have questions, you can always, depending on the place you're applying to, you can always call and ask some questions. But relax. It's a stressful process, but we'll get through it, right? So are there any questions for us?
Yeah, we got an email here at the bottom. Admissions@stthomas.edu is where you want to send your questions. If you typed something in today, as long as you had a name associated with it, after we end the webinar today, we'll get a report and have someone follow up with you. If you were an anonymous question asker where maybe your name wasn't attached, please take a picture of that email address and then send it there, since we won't know exactly who to respond to when we get our report. So if you ask your question with your name attached, we'll have someone follow up with you. And if not, take a picture and ask us via email. But that was like a nice quick little Tommies in 20 of the essay tips. And we'll be in touch. And yeah, or if you just email admissions@stthomas.edu and say, I want to talk to one of the presenters from the essay webinar, we're happy to set up a personalized thing with you. Sometimes students will actually run essay ideas by us, and we're happy to sort of give you some tips and tricks, but definitely keep the conversation going. Happy writing. Good luck with everything. It's going to be great.